These are 5 weird hiking items for beginners, but they're all things I actually bring on most hikes. They're not the obvious essentials like water, hiking shoes, or a jacket. Sure, you do need to bring those things, but a million people have probably already told you that. No, these are just small, slightly weird things that you won't likely think of, but they will make your day a whole lot better. Now let's dive in. First up, nail clippers. So, look, I get it. When you're packing for a hike, you probably don't think, hey, look at my nails. I'm going to do them on the trail. That is not what the nail clippers are for. But yes, I always bring nail clippers with me on a hike or even also always on a backpacking trip. And that's because they can totally save you. First of all, let's talk about when you're hiking downhill. We've all been there where you're hiking and your toes are just kind of slamming into the front of your boots. It hurts. But you know what's going to make it even worse? Is if your toenails are a little longer than they should be and your toenails are slamming into the front of your boot. If you have a pair of clippers with you, you can trim off any of these like egregious nails that are causing you foot problems and get rid of the problem immediately before it causes any worse issues. But that's not where nail clippers end in their usefulness. They have a multitude of options. In addition to your nails, they work for blisters. We've all been there when we get a blister on the trail and you ignore it or you think it'll go away and it doesn't. And next thing you know, that blister has ripped open and you have a mega flapper with skin just hanging and dangling everywhere. And it continually keeps ripping and getting worse. Use the nail clippers to trim off the flapper so that it doesn't cause you problems. I've even used nail clippers in first aid situations or even in like gear malfunctions to trim rope, or I've even used them before to cut open a bag of food that nobody could get access to. So trust me, bring a pair of nail clippers. They're small, they're light. You're not going to notice them in your pack until you really need them. Number 2 on the list is a pee rag. If you followed me for any period of time, you know that I always hike with a pee rag, specifically the Kula cloth. We have an entire review on the Kula cloth, so I'll link it below in the description if you want to check it out. But here is the nutshell synopsis. A pee rag is designed for anyone who squats when they pee, so you don't have to pack in a ton of toilet paper on the trail. Day hike, backpacking, whatever. Packing in toilet paper is a pain, it's gross, and half the time you see it blowing around the wilderness, which is disgusting. So bring a pee rag, which is a reusable pee cloth. You use it to wipe when you pee, and then you hang it on the outside of your backpack where it dries in the sun, and the sun's UV rays disinfect it for the next time you use it. When you're done with your hike or your backpacking trip, you go home, you wash it, it's ready to go for the next one. Yes, you only use it for pee. Please do not use it for poop. But pee rags have also come in handy for a number of reasons. I've used a clean one as like a sweat rag. Don't judge me. They make great pot holders or to hold a hot coffee cup. You can use pee rags for a number of things. And I've also heard a lot of men say they use it for catching a little errant urine before it ends up in their boxers, so they get wet boxers. Can't speak to that, but I've heard rumors. Bring one along and try it out for yourself. Next up on the list is a gear tie. Woo! If you saw my video last week on hiking hacks for Colorado 14ers, you remember that I mentioned ski straps or voile straps. Today, I want to introduce you to something else that I always bring, which is a gear tie, specifically the Nite Eyes gear tie, which is this little loopy thing. It's like a long, gear tie, but it's rubbery and super bendy. So you can kind of tie it and crank it around anything. And the reason I bring these is because there are thousands upon thousands of uses. I can't even begin to list them all. I typically tend to use these when gear breaks. I've used them to rig backpacks together, put shoes back together. Even one time on an uphill ski, a friend was towing a kid trailer and it broke at the waist. And one of these gear ties rigged the hip belt enough that she still got to do the ski without any issues. But they are amazing. They weigh nothing. You can fold them up so they are, look at this, incredibly tiny, but they are super strong. If you decide to wrap this around something and then twist it like that, it's not going anywhere. You can use them as a clothesline. You can use it to hang a headlamp in your tent for a lantern. I could go on and on and on. But bottom line is you should always bring at least one or two of these in your hiking backpack because, like nail clippers, they don't take up any space, they weigh nothing, and you will be so surprised at how many times you reach for these things on everyday occasions. Number 4 is a sit pad. Okay. I know bringing a sit pad on a hike or backpacking trip is kind of bougie. And look, I get that. But you know what also is kind of bougie? My butt feeling better because I don't have to sit in the dirt all the time. So I am not someone that's going to carry like a crazy creek or a big chair like that on my pack. It's just not worth it to me. But I've also been stuck in situations a number of times where there's really nowhere to sit. And after having two ACL surgeries on my knees, sometimes like fumbling around is just not the easiest for me. So that's why I always bring this sit pad, which is literally just a square of closed cell foam. This one is by Xped. The brand sent it to me to test like 5, 6 years ago. And I find myself always throwing it in both on backpacking trips, hiking trips, and on bikepacking trips because it takes up no space and it's super lightweight. That said, you don't need to go out and spend $40 or $50 on a sit pad like this. You can, if you have a closed cell foam sleeping pad, an extra one, or maybe you can find one at Goodwill, you can just cut off the bottom and use that as well. It doesn't matter what it is, but I will say it's incredibly useful and it makes hiking trips a lot more comfortable. Okay, now we've got the fifth and final duct tape. So, if you're an experienced hiker, backpacker, I am sure you just heard me say that and you're nodding your head enthusiastically, like, yes, of course, bring duct tape. Why wouldn't you? When you're a beginner, you're kind of like, why would you bring tape on a hiking trail? That is because duct tape is the single most useful item on the planet. It was designed for NASA space engineers, and my logic is if it's good enough for NASA, it's good enough for this middle aged woman hiking up a mountain. Duct tape can fix so many things. It can tape your bent tent pole back together, it can put your shoe back together, it can fix your backpack. If you pop a hole in something in your sleeping pad, you can put a layer of duct tape over it. The list goes on and on. But you don't have to like bring a whole entire roll that takes up space and adds a ton of weight. Instead, grab a good amount, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet, whatever you feel comfortable with, and wrap it around something that you're already bringing. This can be a Nalgene, it can be another type of water bottle, it can be your trekking poles. I've seen some friends put duct tape around their coffee mug. Just turn something that you're bringing already into the base so it doesn't take up any space. And that way you have it when you need it. There's a good chance that duct tape will sit on your trekking pole for like 6 years and you won't touch it. But when you finally do, you'll be stoked that you had it on there. So there you have it. Those are my 5 weird things that I always bring on every hiking and backpacking trip. And but here's the deal. I know that everybody has different things that they've learned to use and love over the years. So I'd love to hear what you have on your weird list. Maybe you like to pack summit beers to have a nice cold beverage on top of a mountain. Or maybe you're one of those people that always brings your favorite stuffed animal on every backpacking trip. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments so I can see what other weird items we have out there. And as always, I will see you out there.